Good morning, everybody. Welcome to yet another episode of Send It ATV podcast. Today, I have a great guest joining us today from Idaho, talking about everything they have going on up there. And you really want to tune into this because they do something that's very unique that I certainly want to make sure you hear about, because I want more places around the nation to do just that. Without further ado, I want to introduce the president of the Canyon County ATV Club, Mr. Ernie Smith. Thank you for joining us today.
Glad to be here. Hopefully everybody will enjoy what I have to say.
Oh, from what I know they will. So, thanks for agreeing to meet with us today and just share the story. So why don't you start by just telling us about the Canyon County ATV Club?
The Canyon County ATV Club, we're out of Nampa, Idaho, which is just west of Boise, the capital, here in the Treasure Valley. Our club was formed in 2006. Wife and I joined it in 2014, and I've been writing since then. We have approximately over 80 members in our club. And since we're a family-oriented club, it costs $20 a year to join our club, and that covers the wife or both the husband and wife and their children over age 18 who can go on rides. Mm-hmm. And what is nice about it, since everybody in Idaho seems to like to ride, there are 6 clubs that we are associated with that have gotten together and we ride. These clubs are the Boise ATV, UTV Trail Riders Clubs in the capital of Boise. We have the Emmett Rough Riders, which is the Rough Riders up in just north of Boise. We have the, of course, Canyon County, and then we have the Kuna ATV Club, which is a little town just between Boise and Nampa. We have the Magic Valley ATV riders. They're out of Twin Falls, but they're with our association. And then we have the Mountain Home ATV UTV Club out of Mountain Home, Idaho, which is just south of Boise, about 40 miles. What we do is we get together and all the members form basically one big club. Mm-hmm. Our club then has what we call ride leaders. These are the people that go out and will lead rides. Well, each club has different ride leaders, and in November, we get together and plan all of our rides for the following year. Out of these 6 clubs, I know we have over 450 members. And once we get our schedule set up, they can go on meet up. And if they're a member of any club, look at it and they can choose which rides they want to go at, look at all the upcoming rides. And the information on these rides is where the ride is, how difficult it is. We rate it as easy, which is, Forest Service roads, easy. Then we have moderate, which means it's easy, but there could be a few tricky places in it. And then we have difficult, which means you had better be a fairly experienced rider to go on, mm-hmm. because it can get a little bit hairy sometimes. But our ride leaders, we use a system that we found that worked real well, since we get rides anywhere from 20, I think the largest ride one time was 80 some people, but we had to split them up. And what we do is the ride leader carries these little soccer cones, I think, little orange ones. And he knows where he's going because we have pre-ridden the ride before. And he goes out, and if he comes up to a place that looks like he should have turned, he'll place a cone out, say, no, you continue on this. But when he comes up to a turn, he puts a cone down, says something's coming up, and then he puts a little orange cone the direction he went. So the next person follows him through. And hopefully everyone finds the cones. And then the tail gunner, who is also normally a ride leader, goes through and picks up the cones and eventually gets back to the ride leader. But we work strictly on the idea of ride safely. If we have a new member that has never ridden before and he comes on an easy ride, but somehow it gets to a point where he doesn't like a little area, maybe a little bit shaky for him, he can get off his machine and a more experienced rider will go back and take his machine on through the little area, or walking through it by pointing, all right, go here, turn here, stay on this side. And it's fairly nice. And that way it's very safe. We also have basically a rule that says no one will be left behind. If you on a ride and you decide, no, something happened, I'm tired, or it's too dangerous, I want to go back, you will be escorted back to where you unloaded at. We just don't leave people out there hanging on their own because they didn't know how to get back. And also in emergencies, someone always has an emergency locator satellite device, because if there's an accident, we've had, last December, we had a gentleman that something happened and he rolled his machine down an 80-foot embankment. Well, it was a call for a life flight. And I don't know if anyone listening knows that a life flight helicopter ride can run up to $50,000 or $60,000.
Right, not cheap.
What's nice is in this valley, we have 2 life flight companies. And for $45, you get the insurance that will cover you for their pickup and also for ambulance rides. So for $45, you're covered. You get on it, and if you have to be transported back, they pay for it. Even if it was the other company, they honor each other's forms. And so we like to play it safe. And another thing, we stay on trails. We are a firm believer in do not get off the trails and tear up the countryside. Idaho has probably more trails, I think, than most states. And we try to help out the Forest Service because we have cleanups where a club say, okay, we're going to go out and clean up this trail after they've gotten in contact with a park ranger or a Forest Service employee. And we go out, clean trails, cut brush, try to straighten the trail out. We also work with the Bureau of Land Management for cleanups. And so all of our clubs try to keep things nice in Idaho. Our club also adopted 2 miles of highway we go out twice a year and clean up a highway for 2 miles. And we usually collect, on the average of 15 to 16 bags of trash on the highway.
Wow.
And we also just recently in April, we did a cleanup out at the Bureau of Land Management park I think there was probably about 20 of us out there. And we went out and cleaned up the road going into it, some of the trails, and we all brought it all back to the assembly area. Well, when we was out there, we looked down over this embankment, and there was someone had thrown a water heater away. So we went down and hooked a winch to it, pulled the water heater back up and then they went out and looked and said, well, there's a sofa laying out here in the middle of nowhere. Hooked a winch to that one, we drug it back. The Bureau of Land Management came out and said, well, I guess you guys found a lot more than we thought you would. He was quite surprised it's amazing what people throw away. But also if it rains and the trails get muddy, we usually cancel the ride because you tear up a trail if you get too many machines out there. Right. And there's a lot of ranchers in the area and they raise cattle out there. And we've gone up one area, and we've been riding along on the trail, and we looked where some four-wheelers have gone out and they turned cookies, and it was muddy, and they dug ruts all through this area. Well, that gets to a point where if a rancher has a gate up there, he may lock the gate, which one rancher did because a bunch of people came in and tore some stuff up. So it stopped one of our rides from going in. So that's a bad thing, is more and more people don't know what they're doing. They do not want to stay on trails. They want to go out, but we try to watch it.
Yeah, yeah. It's so frustrating when that happens. I hear that all across the nation, there's so much work goes into putting these trail systems together, and then one person, not necessarily a bad actor, just not knowing any better, just they think they're having fun, which they probably are, but ultimately the cost is, shutting the trail down, really hurting connecting two trail systems, and it really shrinks down the size of where you can ride. So,
yes.
The best thing about riding, especially bigger trail systems, is riding a whole day and not riding the same trail twice. But as these trail closures happen, you end up riding the same trail twice because you have to. That's a shame.
One thing nice is we've just started instituting a GPS location on a site where you can go in, if you're a member, go in and download a track that has been taken, and go out, and you and your friends can go out and ride that, download it to your GPS unit, and then go on a ride in the middle of the week or something. And we're still working on that, trying to get it worked out. It costs us a little bit, but it helps. One thing I like to say is Idaho is fairly reasonable on permits. We have to have a restricted license plate on our ATV or UTV. That costs $3, and it's good for 7 years. But every year we have to buy a Idaho Parks and Recreation sticker if you're riding on any public land, and that costs us $12 a year. We used to have, Idaho would recognize other states' riders' permits, and they could ride in Idaho. Well, Idaho just finally said, no, we're spending a lot of money. We are having a lot of out-of-state riders use our trail. So now they cut that off. You ride in Idaho, and from out of state, you have to get a Idaho Parks and Recreation sticker for $12. Of course, if we go to another state, Oregon, I know, we ride a lot in Oregon because we're only about 20 miles from the Oregon border, 30 miles from the Oregon border. It's $10 to get their sticker for 2 years. So I guess other states are quite expensive. I know Utah is fairly expensive, and I know Montana is fairly expensive. Haven't got it over there yet. Well,
we in New Hampshire and Maine, it's pricey. Like for me, I'm out of state to both, and I pay out of state fees. So it's $77 a machine for New Hampshire if you're a club member. So it behooves you to become a club member for the small money that it is. And then in Maine, it's like $110 per machine for out of state and so forth. But certainly, compared to everybody else, we're more expensive. But at least the money goes to good use because different clubs can apply for grants and be able to do some trail maintenance with it and so forth. While I'm kind of on that subject, I just want to remind everybody, if you're riding a club's trail system, make sure you become a member and support that club. They're working hard to create these trails for you. Like down in Texas, you have to go to a park to ride your ATV. And like I would pay $35 just to get into the club for that one day, let alone for a whole year. So make sure you join a local club if you're riding their system, or at least make a donation if it's for one day, and help them out. So,
and our trails, we have Idaho Parks and Recreation has trail cats that will go out and work a trail over if it's they found out, okay, it's getting a little bit messed up. They'll take a trail cat out there and straighten out the trail. And that's where the money goes to, is to keep our trails open and not too dangerous.
Right. Passable, at least.
Passable, you know.
Yep. So when did you mentioned you joined the club in 2014. Is that when
Yes.
you basically started riding?
Yes.
Okay.
I have never ridden an ATV until then.
Oh, wow.
I take that back. Back when I was in high school, my dad's cousin had a tote goat, one of those two-wheeled contraptions out here, and I rode it until I flipped it over. That's a different story. Being a youngster, you take a little bit more bigger chances than I do now. I'm, what is it, older and smarter, I'd say?
Yep.
No, not really. Playing it safe, though.
Yeah. Well, beyond your little roll over there, what's one of the best and funniest stories that you were either a part of or witnessed or in such that makes you laugh today?
Well, I think the funniest one was when the director of our club on that cleanup was dragging that sofa back with her winch. She had it hooked up. I don't know how she got it around the sofa and backed up a good 2 miles without hauling that stupid sofa back to our cleanup area. And we have a gentleman in another club who he rides four-wheelers. He's, I think, 2 years older than I am. And he has an idea saying that if you ride a side-by-side, you have gone to the dark side. One of our members, he rode a Suzuki, and he bought his wife a side-by-side. He went out, and this gentleman happened to see him out there riding. He said, "Well, you have gone to the dark side." But he kept his Suzuki too for the.
Sure, absolutely. What about any like towing experiences or anything like that, or recoveries?
I went on a pre-ride with one of the ride leaders out south of town here to what is called Hemingway Butte. It's strictly 50-inch most of the places. Mm-hmm. We went out to ride. It's got trails all over the place, and he wanted to go out and pre-ride it to make sure he knew where he was going. So I followed him out there, and he had one of the very large Can-Am four-wheeler two-seaters. Okay. He weighs about 230 pounds, I guess. And he had, of course, his stuff on the ATV. We got a few miles out riding, and all of a sudden his machine dies. Uh-oh. Well, I have a 500cc, the Suzuki 500. I towed that machine back. The hard part was going up a hill. I was in four-wheel drive, low gear, and the back end and front end was walking all over the place, but that little Suzuki finally drug him back. And we have a few Suzuki riders that say, well, there went a Can-Am, or whoops, there went a Polaris. We're going to have to pull a Polaris back. Everybody jokes with everybody else.
Oh, of course. It's all about good fun ribbing and such. Well, very good. What's on your bucket list of places to go ride?
I'd like to go up to northern Idaho and ride some of the trails up there. It's just hard to get away. If you go up there, you want to go up for a week, and I've got an acre of land here that if I leave it alone and come back, it will be overtaken with weeds and everything else. So the wife usually she used to ride with me in the Polaris until she decided, no, that wasn't for her, and I got the four-wheeler, and she stays home. So I don't want to leave her here and force her to be mowing, pulling, all this, taking care of the property. So I get away maybe once or twice a year for a few days. Matter of fact, we've got the Idaho State ATV Convention coming up, which our 6 clubs are sponsoring. And we're going up to a place above McCall, Idaho, which is north of here, for our convention.
Okay.
And I think they're going to limit it to 100 people, 100 machines. and we'll be doing 3 rides a day, and it's only costs $25 because we go around, collect donations from a lot of the businesses here, and they get to advertise that, you know, they're mostly associated with off-road vehicles. Mm-hmm. But we'll be running, I think it's 3 rides a day, and we'll be up there. The convention starts on Thursday and ends Sunday, and I'll probably go up on a Tuesday to help pre-ride all these trails because they had a pretty good forest fire up there 2 years ago.
Right.
So we want to make sure everything is still copacetic.
Very good. Very good. Well, Ernie, thank you so much for your time today. If people wanted to get a hold of your club or, you know, reach out to you guys, do you have like a Facebook link? And
we have a Facebook page and a website. And if you just go on your Google search machine and put or search for it, Canyon County ATV Club, it'll pop up with our Facebook page and our website.
Okay.
And there's a little bit of information. Most of the clubs in the area have a Facebook page.
Well, I'll make sure I put some links in the description in the video down below. And so make sure you take the time to read the whole description and such and check those out. And definitely got to get involved with those rides. Those sound amazing. I'm really kind of envious sitting over here hearing about that.
Yeah, this is a rider's paradise out here, the way we look at it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you and everything that you're doing, and you're just sharing what a great club is doing. So again, thank you.
I enjoyed talking to you.
Very good. Have a good day.
You too now.